Alright guys, welcome back to this channel. So let's quickly have a quick discuss around PKC. Is PKC really good for your pigs? That's the subject of today's video. Is PKC really good for your pigs? Alright, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. As I've always said, we'll bring in to you lots of great content on pig farming, the A to Z of pig farming, all you need to know to run a very profitable pig farm. Right on this channel, you'll be getting lots of great content on pig farming and other agricultural venture. So let's dive right into the subject of today's video. Is PKC, this is PKC, I'm showing right on the screen. Is PKC really good for your pigs? All right, so when deciding to feed your pigs, there are some important variables you need to pay attention to. So in answering that question, I would have to walk you through on the feed quality, the quality of the nutritious, the nutrients, the nutritious quality of PKC, and you need to also consider what's the nutritional requirement for your pigs. So those are the two main things you need to consider in answering that question. Number one, what's the nutrient that PKC has? And number two, what's the nutrient required for your pigs? Let's start from the piglet. So the question is, what's the nutritional requirement for the piglet? What do your piglets require at this stage of their life? So now, for these animals you see right here on this video, they require about 18 to 22% protein, between 18 to 22% protein, and about 3 to 4% fiber, and let's say they're about 2,800 to 3,100 energy. So note those numbers down. Your piglets require 18 to 22% of protein, 3 to 4% fiber, and 2,800 to 3,100 for energy. So before you decide to make use of the PKC or not, you need to understand what are these requirements. For your grower pigs require about 16 to 18 percent of protein, of crude protein, and about, let's say, 2004 to 2005 of the energy, and then they're about 4.5 to 5% fiber content. You can notice that your grower pigs can have a much more increased level of fiber than the piglet. So note these numbers very importantly, because I want to walk you through this journey for those farmers out there that have been making use of PKC, for you to know if you should continue using them or you should make an adjustment on your feed formula or your feeding of your pigs. So that's exactly what I want to show to you in this video. For your finisher pigs require about 14 to 16% crude protein, about 2004 to 2005 energy, and about 3 to 4% fiber content. So note all these numbers, and then you would be able to answer the main question for this video, which is PKC really good for your pigs? All right, so having settled the nutritional requirement for the different stages of your pigs, the next question is, what's the nutritional content of the PKC? What's the nutritional content of this feed? Now, the PKC has 16.63% crude protein, and it has about 4,998 energy level, and about, let's just say, about 13 to 20% percentage of fiber in it. So this is 16.63% crude protein, about, let's say, about 15% fiber, and 4,998 energy. So the next question is, does this make so much sense to be used for your pigs, and will this give you the right result? Will this give you the right weight you need for your market size, for you to be able to sell off to the market at the right time, well, the next thing I'll be showing you will give you your answer. All right, as great scientists, or of course, if you can't make the experiment, we can make the experiment, and you can observe the experiment, and you will be able to make your determination from the conclusion of the experiment. So let's look at pigs that has been fed on just PKC alone. They've been eating PKC alone, and then we'll look at pigs that have not been eating PKC alone. Then we would understand if, because it's almost looking like a very big jackpot, because if you look at the percentage of crude protein in PKC, it's 16.63, which almost, apart from the Piglet, the nutritional requirement for the grower pigs and the finisher pigs, they all fall there about that protein level, that crude protein level. So it looks more like the answer mathematically, if you're observing that, looks like PKC is a good feed for your animals. Now, I'm not saying yes to that, I'm not saying no to that, but let's just work on an experiment to determine if that is true. All right, look at these animals you see right here. This is a growing pig, and as I said already, these pigs in this pen, they've been fed on just PKC for as long as I know. They've been fed on PKC for a very, very long time. Now, look at these pigs here. These pigs are the pigs that have been fed with the feed formula that I showed in one of our videos. Can you see? You can see the pig. You can see them. I believe you can see them very clearly. These pigs have just used about just 3 months on this farm. Just about 3 months on this farm. But they don't feed on PKC alone. These pigs feed on PKC alone. All right. So let me give you my take on this, and for you to understand, for have real understanding on what your decision should be. Now, PKC is an important feed nutrient if used right. As already shown in the previous in the subsequent analysis, in the previous analysis I did, I already told you the nutritional element of PKC. So you can see already that these animals in this video are not looking that bad. Some of you may draw that conclusion that these are not looking very poor. They are not looking like they are malnourished. They are still looking quite sizable, but not perfectly sizable, obviously, but they are not looking that bad. So the question is, why would I say PKC? I would not advise you to make use of PKC and do what is being done in this pen. This is why. These animals you see here are way older than the other animals I showed you. Way older. The difference is so much. The difference is so much. Now, if you are looking at running a commercial pig farm, time is a very important thing in all you do. Now, if you are not running a commercial pig farm and you just want to keep pigs for fun, and you don't want to spend anything, obviously PKC looks like a good way to go, because number one, PKC is relatively cheap. I use the word relatively cheap intentionally because PKC is not cheap like before. For those people that are into pig farming, they will agree with me, it's not as cheap as before anymore. Even the brewery's spent grain that was almost for free, it's almost like as if they could dash you the brewery spent grain, is now with a lot of money now. So it's relatively cheap compared to the other feed composition, compared to the soya, compared to the maize, even compared to the wheat offer. PKC is still relatively cheap. So obviously, if you're looking at economizing your purse, PKC looks very much like a place to go. But I repeat, for a commercial pig farm, PKC will not help you. Very, very obviously, you can see what I showed you in the video, that these animals are spent, I could say, I can't run the estimate perfectly. I would have told you that these animals are almost not less than 2 or 3 months more than, in terms of age, more than the other animals I showed you. And those animals I showed you are bigger than these animals here. Number 2, the last animals that were sold of one of my friends, those animals are even more bigger than this, but they were also fed on PKC alone. Now, when they did the weight, then when they scaled them, they scaled those pigs. Some of the animals are even well bigger than this one. They were weighing about maybe 48 or less than 48. When they scaled those other animals I showed you, those ones were weighing about close to 40. They were weighing approaching 40. And the difference in terms of age of those ones are even too much. Those ones that were weighing 48 are way older than this one here. So if that animal and they are way over 6 months old, they were over 6 months old. If animals over 6 months old are weighing 48, think about how much weight these guys here on this video are going to be weighing. I'm sure these animals cannot weigh close to those animals there. These animals may not weigh up to 30 kg as we are looking at them. We have not killed them. Probably if I could do that and then give you the feedback on that, these animals will not weigh 30 kg, not because of their size, but because of the feed nutrient. The size is not moving in accordance with their age. So if these animals were fed on other feed composition apart from PKC, these animals will be times 2 at least, if not times 3 of this, at least times 2. These animals that are about 3 months old that I showed you previously, those ones they are weighing close to 40. By now I'm sure many of them will be weighing 40, or some of them will be weighing 40 already, and they are just about 3 months old on this farm. So that's why I said, if you're running a farm where you're not caring about markets, you're not caring about profitability, I told you this channel is all about running a profitable big farm, and that's why I want to give you the secret to this, so that those of you that are getting into pig farming, you will understand why, as much as PKC is readily available and relatively cheap and easily accessible. That's another thing. You can almost get PKC in almost anywhere in West Africa, because it's it's a byproduct of palm kernel, of this oil palm. So it's almost everywhere. So it's relatively cheap and easily accessible. But the other thing is it best for your animals? Now, I think I've said this before. The weight of your animals are very key to whatever you are doing. You need to be very considerate on making sure that all your feeding is amounting to the right weight. If your feeding is not amounting to the right weight, then something is really wrong on your farm. And that's why I would not advise you not to use PKC, because obviously you have to be economical. That means you have to also work on your budget. But I would advise you to ensure that you are mixing your PKC with other great feed content. PKC will not kill your animals. PKC will not throw you out of business. But one thing is certain, it will not give you the desired result in the time you need it. One thing that will just happen is you would feed your animals for a longer time. Those animals I showed you previously now, one thing that will happen is, if you in the next 6 months, they would have attained market size. In the next 6 months, they would attain market size. But is that profitable? Is that profitable if you look at the expenses on the housing, the expenses on the workers, and all those other things? Is it profitable to keep an animal for over a year? So these animals now, in less than 3 months, they will be out of this place for sale. So 6 months maximum, you attain at least 100 kg, about 90 to 100 kg, and you are really good to go. So these are some of the important things I thought to share to you today, to make sure you are very purposeful when feeding your animals. that not only will you just give them PKC, but add other important feed nutrients that will boost their growth. The aim now is to boost their growth. Not like PKC would not give them good nutrients, but it will not boost their growth for quick market weight gain and everything. So you need to make sure that the animals are attaining market size in record time, so that you can empty that pen, bring the next batch in, continue your, in a year you are making, imagine in a year you are making 2 different sales from just one pen. That's a good way of running your pig farm, rather than holding your pen with the same animal for over a year when you are using just PKC to feed them. So that's what I thought to share to you today. There are some other things I could also discuss. If you are feeding your lactating sows PKC, they would have issue with milk production, their babies may not be healthy enough, and all those many things. So you may not be able to get the best quality from your pig when you are using PKC alone. So my advice is ensure you mix your PKC with several other important nutrients that are very much available also in the market. So you can see an important addition that we do add to our PKC, which help boost the energy level and very nutritive. This is bread waste. This is bread waste. You get this from the bakery. So we add this to our feed composition to ensure that we are giving them the right quality of food. Now look at this other one. This is the chicken feed. This is the broiler chicken feed, which is very rich in protein. You can see the broiler chicken feed here, very rich in protein. So we have this added to the PKC. So when you add this to the PKC, you add this to the PKC and some other ingredient, you see that you'll be having the right result for your pigs. So PKC is really good and affordable and accessible, but please mix your PKC with several feed content so that you can have the best results for your pigs in record time. Thank you very much. If you're new to this channel, please don't leave this place without subscribing. Subscribe to this channel. We'll bring to you lots of great videos on profitable pig farm and all you need to know to have your farm profitable. Thank you very much. Bye bye.